when you do have the difficulty, knowing that it's going to work, you have to have an understanding of when there's a difficulty within that difficulty, there's something that you can find that can be a positive. That when you put it together, then everything works.
Welcome back to the podcast. I started this podcast as a way to help Black men in all aspects of our lives. Studies show on average we lose 2.8 years of our life when we're under heavy stress. And I think we can gain those 2.8 years back if we express ourselves healthily. Stick with me as I interview therapists, doctors, advocates, activists, and friends about how we can be better as Black men and as a Black community. If you're not subscribed to us on YouTube and following us on Instagram and TikTok, you'll definitely want to do that. Without further ado, let's get into the episode.
All right, y'all, we with Wasi.
Yes.
This is going to be a really interesting episode. I can already tell from the conversation that we've had before we got into everything.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot to discuss.
Yeah.
I'm happy that you're here, bro, first of all. Because
listen, I'm excited, man.
Yeah, because we was DMing back and forth, and like that's normally how it happens. Like you DM back and forth with somebody.
Yeah.
And then it takes some time to like get schedules aligned and everything. So I'm glad we were able to finally get it aligned and have this conversation.
Yeah.
When you set your bio over, I was like, damn, this dude do a lot.
Yeah, you know I know. It is a lot.
You do a lot, bro. So let's talk about that first, because we want to dive into some other things.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk a lot about fatherhood.
For sure.
But let's talk about what you do first of all. First of all, who you are. Can you break that down for the audience?
Yeah. So my name is Wasi. I'm a father. I'm a business owner.
Mm-hmm.
So I grew up in the Washington, D.C. area. I graduated from Howard University.
Okay.
HU.
Okay.
From my HU alum.
Mm-hmm.
So shortly after that, I got a 9-to-5 out in Charlotte, North Carolina. So I actually relocated.
Okay.
Right out of college.
Okay.
So that was a pretty new experience. I want to say I was maybe 22 at the time that I moved.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a pretty huge transition. And then, here we are, 7 years, maybe 8 years later, I've left 9-to-5. I dove, headfirst into entrepreneurship around the 2019, 2020 time frame. And so, that's a little bit about me.
Okay. So let's talk about how do you balance entrepreneurship right now? Because I know you talked about that, but you're also a father. So how are you balancing all of that right now?
Let's just say it's definitely a challenge.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. It's also rewarding too, though.
Okay.
Right. I think for the most part, as an entrepreneur, one of the main things you need is routine.
Mm-hmm.
And I think obviously with routine comes, predictability. Obviously you have more control of your schedule and things like that. Well, when you introduce the idea of being a father or a parent rather, right? Because, obviously, mothers can relate. You have to have some sort of schedule, you typically maybe, that will allow you to still, show up the way in which you should or that you would like to in entrepreneurship, in business, as a result of, outside of, your time as a parent.
Right. So let's dive into fatherhood, bro. Before we even dive in there, I don't think you mentioned what exactly you do as an entrepreneur. What is that first before we dive in so people can understand?
Yeah. So for the most part, I'm an educator. Mm-hmm. I teach people about how to invest in the stock market. Mm-hmm. I also educate children on how to think about the stock market.
Okay.
So I also own a couple IT firms as well. So assisting different local and state governments with websites, just essentially appearing online. That's in the North Carolina area.
Okay. So like a design firm, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. So you have you basically have multiple businesses.
Yeah.
And you're also balancing fatherhood right now.
Yeah. Also a full-time trader as well. So I trade stock options.
Okay.
So I don't just teach people how to invest in the stock market. I also do it myself as well.
You do it. So you have multiple businesses.
Yeah.
You're day trading,
right?
Yeah,
day trading, yeah.
And then you have 2 kids. Mm. 2 boys?
2 boys, yeah.
2 boys. 4 and 3?
4 and 3, yeah, back to back.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's talk about fatherhood, bro.
Yeah,
How was that experience for you? Having your first child, like what was that like for you? Like, what were you feeling?
Man,
like, what were the thoughts?
Having a child is so rewarding. I think because what it essentially is it's a mirror to yourself. Honestly, because you actually end up having to now have the responsibility of someone else entirely, right? That, some people may have, a spouse or a partner that you may deem yourself responsible for, but a child is someone that can't fend for themselves. Obviously a baby can't talk, so it's a completely different scenario, right? But it's definitely rewarding because for one, you could see, as far as, being a biological father, you could, typically you could see yourself in your child, right? So we're talking about, just seeing the different features that maybe you even forgot you had that you're now seeing in, a completely different individual, right? And just the ebbs and flows of of all things parenting, regarding fatherhood. I think, for me, I love changing my son's diapers. That's something that I started, from day one. Is just being very intentional about the time I spend with them. Right. When we're talking about, changing diapers, that's something that I talked about routine. That's something that you have to do every single day.
Yeah.
So if you can imagine, at least for me, my idea of that time is like just time was just me and my son, right, at that time, right? We're talking about, the first time, having a child. So me and my son at that time, just having our, bonding time, our one-to-one connection. I may be able to just start speaking, specific things into his life, early on so that he could, start to grow and things like that. So those are some of the things that I love about fatherhood, especially, starting out.
Yeah. And then how would you say it's impacted you? Like, because I know it impacts everybody differently. I know you talked a little bit about some of the features that you've had in yourself that you may have forgotten that you saw.
Yeah.
How do you feel like outside of that, like it's impacted you?
Man, it's so funny because being an entrepreneur, it actually impacts that side as well, right? Because, being an entrepreneur, we're talking about, if at least if you're looking to, have employees under you, you're talking about being a leader, right? So at that time, it's essentially, do as I do, not as I say, essentially, right? So we're talking about the idea of, being an entrepreneur, you have, people that would be under you. So if you would want them to excel, you also would have to excel, right? So same way, and, obviously in fatherhood, the idea of, just taking care of yourself, right? Your hygiene, obviously, tending to your child as far as, teaching them or, doing whatever it is you need to do so that, or even just being the person you need to be. That's like a whole different conversation because, we talked about it a little bit earlier. We talked about, where we're from. Obviously, you're Ghanaian. I'm Nigerian.
Yeah.
I think fatherhood plays a lot in, culturally, right?
Yeah.
Talking about the idea of the first son. I don't know if you're the first son for your dad.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So we'll talk. So you have culture involved in the idea of being a father and who's to come afterwards. So I think it's more so just about I forgot where I was. Where was I, bro?
I was asking you basically about how fatherhood has impacted you.
Yeah.
And like you were talking about
so being
entrepreneurship.
The person, there you go. So being the person, that's where I was. So being the person, like, so for the most part growing up, I was watching my dad be someone. You know what I'm saying? So now as a father, I'm now seeing myself like, yo, I got to make sure I got everything together so that, someone, behind me is watching me and saying, this is the model of who I'm to be, essentially, right? So that's where I was going with that.
No. Yeah, now that makes a lot of sense. You rounded it out properly. Yeah, because when I think about it, bro.
Yeah.
My dad is not the most wealthy person in the world. You know what I'm saying? He's not a celebrity or anything like that. But I always tell my girl, I was like, yo, if I could be just 10% of the man that my dad is.
Yeah.
Right? Because I've seen the way he moves, how he interacts with my mom, like how he handles conflict, how he handles conflict in the family.
Yeah.
Just a variety of different things. And from all of that I've seen, like the example that he's shown, I always tell people like, yo, that's the example of a man, right? So that's the reason why I am the way I am. When people see my demeanor, how I go about life, I get a lot of that from him. So I can understand wholeheartedly what you mean when you say that. Do you feel like having children has made you appreciate your dad more?
Absolutely. Oh, that's a great question, actually. Yeah. Absolutely. What's so funny is that if we talk about the time frame of just my life on earth, like being a father and not being a father, my relationship with my dad has been best while I've been a father. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Why is that?
So essentially, it's the idea of saying, you know, because when you grow up, you're potentially looking up and saying, you know, is this person making the right decisions? At least by the time you get to a place where you can,
like kind of think for yourself.
Years, like, because when you grow up, the first thing is, well, this is my hero. This is my everything. Like, this is who I'm supposed to be. You know, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, right? That's your paradigm. And then you get to a point where you're like, now you can like kind of do the critical thinking. Yeah. So now you're almost like reasoning if who you thought your father was is essentially who, you know, he is now. Yeah. Now that you know about life, essentially, right? But I think becoming a father, it kind of like humbled me to the point where I was like, wait, like whatever judgment I felt like I could place on my father, like I wouldn't want my kids to put on me. So that's when I started to like really see things, see life completely differently. I really started, that kind of started my journey of really like getting closer to my dad. Like me and my dad are now like, we kind of have like a older brother, younger brother kind of relationship now. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, he's kind of mentoring me and kind of seeing the next step to where, you know, I'm supposed to go. And, you know, for the most part, like, sometimes you kind of need life to put you in a space where you can now start hearing correctly. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, explain what you mean by that.
Yeah.
Explain what you mean by that. Because I feel like there's a story behind that. Or there's something behind that.
Yeah, I mean, so I would say, you know, for the most part, when we talk, especially as men, when we think about life and difficulty, most of the time we are met with just the understanding of like the negative aspect. Right? So it's like, all right, difficulty comes. And then for the most part, and this is just human beings really just in general, but I think, you know, only speaking from the male perspective, like, you know, we meet it and then we might just immediately feel like feelings of disappointment or just negativity regarding whatever issue happened, right? Now, the problem is if we stay in that feeling, then that's the only lesson we're going to take from that experience.
Right. That was just negative.
That's just negative. But the funny thing about it is that for everything that happens, there's a positive and a negative to it. Right. So if as a man, you decide to focus on the positive aspect of it, then you can then reap the benefits, the positive benefits of the said difficulty.
Right.
Because then that changes your paradigm. So think about it this way, right? If I were to ask you what's like one of your favorite qualities of yourself, what would that be?
Probably my authenticity.
Your authenticity. Is there a story behind your authenticity as to why you feel like you've become this person that's
kind of, yeah.
Can we trace it back to some difficulty though? Like something that made you say, all right, now I'm going to decide I'm going to be transparent, brutally honest and authentic in all things I got going on in life.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can say that, right?
Yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
When I don't think about it though, that's crazy though. When you first asked me, I'm like, I ain't got no damn story for that. But now that I really sit and think about it, I'm like, yeah, there was a point in my life where I was like, yeah, trying to be like other people is not going to really work, bro. You got to just be yourself because this is not working out for you. Yeah, that's actually true.
Yeah. So, I mean, for the most part, a lot of different people may like, so you think about different celebrities, artists, you know, actors, comedians, whoever. Most of the time when you hear about their story, they always revert back to some sort of difficulty that happened that changed them and changed the trajectory of the way their life was headed, essentially, right? So the question begs to say, if that said difficulty never existed,
would you have, right? So do you feel like your difficulty was fatherhood that made you feel more humble to the point where you were able to accept like your role that your dad?
Exactly. Okay. It was the idea of saying, like, I was always of the mindset that like adults are supposed to know everything and be perfect, right? Yeah. Like you growing up, you like, you've had more time here to figure it out. Right. So you should know the right thing to do. Right. You know? I guess what I didn't put into perspective potentially is sometimes you have to choose between two wrong choices. Sometimes you don't know what to choose. Like I'm thinking as a younger child, maybe like, you know, like I said, this being my father, he should know everything. He should know what to do at every single time. But then I became a father and I was faced with decisions where I'm like, I don't know what to do here. Like, you know, potentially, my firstborn, he had eczema. So I'm like, I don't know.
I've experienced that.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I'm trying to figure out what to do with that. And, you know, school, stuff like that, daycare, what daycare to go to, all those types of decisions you have to make. School zone, whether to homeschool or not homeschool. Like there's so many different conversations and decisions you have to make that for what it's worth, people are still trying to figure it out, you know? So I feel like when I was younger, I mean, I have given my dad the grace of saying, hey, as long as you're around, we can figure it out, you know, because just because, you know, that's just, you're young, you're irrational essentially, right? But like you said, as I grew older and then became a father and then had to think about these decisions, now it's kind of like, all right, like it causes me to go back and think like, dang, like,
he did all this?
Yeah, he did like, and then you start to appreciate it, like you start to run it back, like you start going back in time and just thinking from one instance to another, like what your parents may have done in certain instances that really make you think like, wow, like that's some really honorable stuff potentially, right? So that's what I think about when I think about
fatherhood. Yeah. Let me ask you this: what's one of the biggest lessons that you've learned from it so far? Like, what's something that when you think of fatherhood, like you're like, I definitely want, like when my two boys get to of age, I want them to know this about fatherhood.
Patience.
What you mean by that?
Patience. Children, they have a mind of their own, you know, especially in the earlier ages, right? So, patience in knowing that everything's going to get done in its time, right? Like everything is going to get done in its time, you know, and the whole idea of that is, you know, I would have a set time in which I would want them to go to bed, right? bedtime is always something, right? Something's always going on at bedtime. But I have a routine for them. I put them in the bath, you know, I bathe them, and then you know, I get them together, put them in their PJs, you know, we do our nightly, you know, affirmations, pray together, whatever, and then, you know, put them in their beds. And so, you know, I would close the door and let them go to sleep, right? But then I start hearing them laughing and playing in the room while they're supposed to be sleeping, obviously. And in my mind, I'm thinking, all right, well, if they don't go to sleep at a specific time, I'm going to have to pay for this in the morning because they're going to potentially, you know,
groggy, not want to wake up,
you know, all of that. So, you know, it could cause someone to be, and every parent has their own ideology about, you know, their own method on how they do things like this. But, you know, you can think to yourself like, you know, being too strict about the situation and kind of like getting them set at a specific time. But at the end of the day, like, you know, just looking towards the next day and just figuring things out is going to be, you know, the most reasonable thing. And it allows me to have the peace of mind because at that point in time, they're up and playing around and I'm tense. That doesn't even make any sense. they're happy and I'm the one upset. Right? That doesn't make any sense. It's like if they're playing around, cool. Let them do what they got to do. Eventually they'll go to bed, and then in the morning we'll figure it out.
So that's how you handle it. You let them.
That's really how I handle it.
Okay.
You know, because it's gonna be better for me to be in the moment to experience feelings that allow me to be my best self.
Right.
And being tense does not allow me to be my best self.
Absolutely.
Right. And so for them to be able to have their best experience of being children, they're going to need me to be my best self, being happy, joyful, whatever the case is. So if I'm not that, then, you know, obviously that then has a trickle down effect. So I guess that's something that I just, you know, typically try to keep in mind.
All right, I'm interrupting this podcast episode to let you guys know to leave a review on the podcast. Please, 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 if you are listening to this episode and you're finding value in this episode, you're enjoying the conversation, or you've enjoyed a previous episode or conversation, and it's safe to operate your phone right now, please leave us a review. Your review is a free and easy way to support us, and it helps us reach more people like you. We're on a mission to build a stronger, more connected Black community, starting with Black men. And you can help us on that mission by taking a minute out of your day to leave a review. Your review helps us generate more listeners, which in turn generates more revenue, allowing us to expand the platform even further. So please take a few seconds out of your day. I know you're busy. I understand. I know you're doing a lot, but it will help us greatly if you would just take a few seconds out of your day to leave a review right now. Did you leave a review yet? All right, let's get back to the episode.
Yeah, and then let me ask you this, bro.
Yeah.
So we were talking earlier before we got into the whole podcast episode. I was going to ask you about the mother of your kids, and then we talked about you being a single dad.
Yeah.
How has that experience been? Because I feel like there's so many people that, as men specifically, right, that are dealing with singleness and fatherhood that don't feel seen, don't really have resources. So take me through that experience for you. How has that been? Because I know you talked about doing a lot of the like the different like tasks and like for your kids. So like, what's that been like for you?
Yeah, so it's a journey. I think for the most part, you know, so for me, I have my older sister. She's into homeschooling.
Okay.
So she gives me a lot of advice and input on, you know, things to do, things to look at. You know, she gives me resources and things like that. People to, you know, that I could trust to, you know, make specific, you know, decisions, at least, you know, to the best of my ability. Right. I think for the most part, you know, it's, you know, like childcare usually is quite a hassle, right? Because it's like, you know, as a woman, you're kind of naturally a nurturer, right? And I think for me, like I need assistance in that area typically. Okay. Right. So that's kind of another thing as well, you know, and finding people that, or, you know, close family that you can trust in order to, you know, help in those type of scenarios is definitely necessary, you know? Yeah. So it could, I feel like it's really up to you as a father to say like, what type of life do you want to live? Like, do you want to live one where you're kind of backbreaking and, you know, trying to do everything yourself? Or is there a way that you can reach out and ask for help from, you know, specific individuals in your life that, you know, can evaluate your situation and say, you know, let me see how I can help you out, and, you know, and things like that.
Yeah. And then you're Nigerian too. So do you feel like you're experiencing that kind of like village from your family, or is it kind of the opposite? Like, do you feel like you're getting that, or?
In this, I think it's funny because more so from a sibling standpoint than from like the
aunt, uncles.
Yeah.
I would think that's how it would be though.
Yeah. Because I mean, they're much older now. You know, my older, I was one of the younger cousins.
Okay.
So, at least on my dad's side, you know, he was one of the younger siblings. So most of my cousins are much older than me, right? And they have their own kind of thing going on. and in other states, you know, potentially other countries, stuff like that. So it's a little different, but you know, I definitely get a lot of you know, assistance from my sister and my brother as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah. I want to ask you this about, are you dating right now?
Nah, I'm not dating. I'm actually in the season of focus right now. Okay. But it's funny because there was a conversation I actually did want to have with you about
What's up?
dating.
Let's do it.
Let's talk about something. So like you know, just kind of evaluating all the different like relationships that have been around me, both that I've been in and that people have been in around me. Yeah. Right. There was this thing I realized, and I'm sure you know about the 5 love languages, right? Yeah. So there's this thing I started seeing, and I called it relationship roles. Okay. So I'm gonna break it down for you, right? Okay. You ready for this? We probably are gonna have to write a book together about this. Okay. What's up? All right. So this is how it goes, right? I believe that every relationship has at least one of these relationship roles. Okay. And I'm gonna break each role down, but I'm gonna list them first. Okay. You have his and hers. You have housewife. You have happy wife, happy life. And then you have homie, lover, friend. Okay. You have those 4 relationship types. Okay. Now, I'm intrigued now. You piqued my interest. Go ahead. Each of these 4 relationship types have potentially what people would believe are pros and cons, right? Oh, so these are relationship models. Correct. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So when you said roles, okay, yeah, model. Yeah, okay, relationship models. Yeah, there you go. Relationship. See, we're building the book. Yeah, we're building the book. We're building the book. So relationship models. Okay, good. All right. Good. And I think this is going to be a lot. This is going to be much more. I think it's going to be much more impactful than love languages, honestly. Okay. Because your love languages switch like every couple of days. For sure. Yeah. But your relationship, your ideal relationship model, it may change over time, but at least not every day. Yeah, for sure. You see what I'm saying? It's much more stable. Let's get into that. Let's break it down. Let's break it down. First and foremost, homie, lover, friend. Okay. Very simple. Love and basketball. Just think love and basketball. That's the ideal homie, lover, friend scenario where it's like potentially your college sweetheart, your high school sweetheart, like y'all almost look like brother and sister type of thing. You know those type of couples where it's like they can't leave each other alone. They always together. But it's like more of like a giggly like brother sister type of love in a sense. Not in a like best friend. Let's just say best friend. Yeah, let's just say best friend. So then obviously there's potential pros to that, potential cons to that, right? But then you have his and hers. I call his and hers. It's essentially a power couple. Okay. So business wise, or maybe just nonprofit wise, it doesn't necessarily have to be, you know, just whatever their life's purpose is, they're doing something together, or they may have their separate like empires, right? So there's pros and cons with that, right? Let's go through the pros and cons of that, right? Pros, potentially, and this could be for anybody, right? With the his and hers couple, typically, if you're a man that likes to be served, you might not get that. You know what I'm saying? You might not necessarily get that. Why? I mean, just from a time perspective. From a time constraint perspective. We're not even talking about like personalities. I don't even really want to go deep into that because you know people kind of get crazy. Just time commitment. Because if she's in Dubai and you're in DC, she can't serve you. Right. You know what I'm saying? As far as like, you know, from just a you know, just a physical contact perspective, like, you know, whether that's to, you know, feed you or to, you know, whatever the case may be, right? Right. So that could be a pro, that could be a con. Some men might prefer that type of lifestyle. Some women might prefer that type of lifestyle, right? That's up to them, right? Then you have happy wife, happy life, right? Now that relationship model is specifically the man living to serve the wife, potentially, or the man living to serve the woman, potentially, right? So at that point, the pros would be what? Like throw out some pros with that. Yeah, you know what's so interesting about happy wife, happy life? I don't identify with it anymore, so I cannot tell you any pro of it. Right. I think the only pro would be for the wife who feels happy all the time. Right. But she's oblivious to the man's pain. Yeah. And suffering. Let's put it this way. Let's say it's like maybe like a 45, 50-year-old dude.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually enjoys the idea of seeing his woman flourishing. So he's
oh yeah, for sure,
coming out of pocket doing whatever.
For sure.
That may be a pro for him, potentially.
Absolutely. But here's the thing, right? So now we're going to get into some nuance, right?
Yeah.
I enjoy...
This is the book. This is the book getting created right now. Go ahead.
I enjoy seeing my girl happy, but not at the expense of myself.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't want that to be taken the wrong way, because I know there's a lot of women that believe that it is a man's responsibility to make them happy.
To kind of prove their self.
Right. And to prove, right?
Prove
and
their love.
And I understand that to a degree.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it cannot be at the expense of myself, because I've done both.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm talking from experience. I'm not just talking out my ass right now. Right? I'm talking from experience. When I was younger, I was of the mindset that when you get into a relationship, all you're supposed to do as a man is make sure your girl is good. If she's not good, something wrong.
Yeah.
And it don't matter what you going through, what you have going on, all of that is for the back burner. It will never be dealt with.
Where do we learn that from, though?
From society, from what we see in our own relationship, in our parents' relationships. Like there's a lot of different.
It's crazy.
There's a lot of different things that are telling you that that's what it should be, right? And so I learned during that time when I had a relationship where I was of the mindset, happy wife, happy life, where I was doing that relationship model, I was miserable, bro.
Yeah.
And it took me some time to really realize, like, bro, you are actually miserable. You don't want to do half the stuff that you do. You just do it just to make her happy. And it's like, you want to make your partner happy, but at the same time, like, aren't you supposed to be happy too? And that was a real, like, crisis that I was in when I remember those times. I was really in crisis, like, yo, I'm not happy right now.
Yeah.
But she's happy. But this is what I've been taught. You get what I'm saying? But this is what I've been taught.
It's not clicking. It's not clicking. Because you're potentially feeling like it's through her happiness that you would then also become happy.
Exactly. And that was the conundrum that I was in. I was like, yo, bro, she's happy, but I'm not happy as a result.
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized, like, okay, can't do that. It's cool to make your partner happy. It's cool to do things to make your partner happy, for sure. Like, Valentine's Day just passed, made sure that I did what I need to do, right?
Yeah.
She called me, she's hyped. But I didn't do that at the expense of myself. So I can also enjoy her happiness, because I'm also content and happy in myself. And I feel like when we look to, as men, when we look to make our partner happy, but we're not also trying to make sure that ourselves, like, we're good, it becomes a problem, and it leads to resentment. So now when you see your partner happy, you mad. Like, why are you mad that somebody, like, just with your kid, like with your kids, you're mad that they're in the room? You literally are upset that your partner is happy, and you're like, bro, that's not what's supposed to be happening here. We're supposed to both be happy and flourishing. That's when you see those relationships with people competing with each other and you know what I'm saying? It's a whole different thing. So you can fall into that. For me, that's why I don't identify with the happy wife, happy life thing anymore. And whenever I hear it, I cringe.
Yeah,
you know, like when I hear a man, like, oh yeah, my wife, happy wife, happy life. I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know.
I feel because it could be pretty traumatic for a lot of men. Honestly.
Bro, I'm telling you, I've been through it, bro.
It could definitely be pretty traumatic.
Where my girl had no, like, my ex, she had no idea.
Yeah.
She's like, bro, I know some guys gonna relate to this. A few. Like, that was around the time when Facebook was really a thing. We was young, so Facebook, everybody's on Facebook. And she would put up status, I'm so happy. And I'm looking at the status like, bro, I'm miserable right now. Like you're I'm literally miserable right now. You have no idea that I'm miserable.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't believe that was the reality that I was in, bro. But there's so many guys right now.
Yeah.
I promise you, bro. I'm gonna put this up as a clip. There's so many guys right now. They're in relationships with people that have no idea that they're miserable, bro. Like, I'm telling you, bro.
That's crazy. No, because
no idea.
Yeah, bro. That's crazy. And you know, I think this might get a couple of my guys in trouble, but usually, like, if you see a dude that's like so hungry to go on a guy's trip, he's probably like, First of all, I'm not even the guys trip type of guy. I'm not saying I don't like hanging out with my guys.
No, for sure. But the guys trip and hanging out is two different things.
A guy's trip. We talking about guys like a guy that's trying to go on a guy's trip like every few months. Like, come on, bro.
No, we're
and
good.
You have a woman.
I'm good.
Like, come on.
I don't
bro.
need to see out that much.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But he's probably unhappy. Really, what's happening? He's probably unhappy potentially.
Yeah.
He's probably looking from some sort of reinforcement from his bros that he may not be potentially getting, with his woman. So that's something that would potentially be, some sort of scenario, some sort of rift that, could potentially happen. And like I said, it's not, I want to try to clear that up. I'm not saying it's a bad thing to go on guys trips.
No, for sure.
Because I think it's always key to be amongst your brothers.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
It's like, you just went 2 weeks ago and you want to go again with your guys, like,
what's going on, bro? You don't want to be at home?
And maybe, come on, bro. Like, that's not gonna work.
You know what the thing is too? Because I know how I am, right? Like, if I'm happy in my relationship, I want to be at home with my girl. Yes. I want to see the guys, but I want to see y'all in spurts. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to see y'all maybe like a 3-4 hour stretch. We go chill, we go do something. I'm going back home. Yeah, and I go back home. Yeah. You feel me? Like, I'm not trying to be on a guy's trip I think for what you're trying to say is the frequency in which it's being requested. Often, like, if you're doing, if it needs to happen like every quarter, a trip. I'm not talking about seeing.
We're not talking about like dinner or like just a lunch or just like a game, like an outing or something.
Yeah,
or like
a trip every quarter is like,
to hop on a plane and be with your guys every few weeks.
Are you good at home? Because I'm telling you, bro, like even when I do those spurts of like 3, 4, 5 hours, whatever the case may be with the guys,
I'm done.
After the 4 hours, like, you know what I'm saying? I'm like,
I gotta get out of here.
I want to go see show. I want to try to see what's going on at home. I want if she cooked. I wanted the food. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not trying to be out there because I want to go home. I'm happy with my home, and that's a whole other thing too. Is do you have peace at home? That's a whole other thing.
That's a whole nother conversation, man. But
let me ask you this, bro. Let me ask you this. If you were to date, I know you're in focus mode right now. First of all, we didn't even finish the relationship model.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to do. That's what I was actually trying to do.
Relationship
we can go back to that. That's what I was trying to do.
Let's finish the relationship
model. That's what I was actually trying to do. So we have the that was the happy wife, happy life we talked about, right?
Go ahead.
So obviously there's negative connotations that can happen from that, right? That can happen from that. We have the idea, obviously, it's really supposed to be happy spouse, happy house. We understand that.
Right.
But the whole idea of creating the relationship model is the idea of like, that's something that people can quickly identify with. Happy wife, happy life, right? And then housewife, right? Now, housewife is the opposite of happy wife, happy life. That's what you were talking about.
I can understand.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if you have happy wife, happy life, it's when the man is catering to the woman, right? Potentially, right? And then for housewife, you have the woman catering to the man, which is the opposite, right? So now that looks like a lot of different things. That looks like potentially, if a woman wants to become a housewife, right? Then he's not home as often. He's on trips often. Yes, there's things being taken care of, at home, but the availability perspective is just not there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? For some people. And then, so that could be a good thing. That could be a bad thing.
Right.
It all just depends on who you are, really.
Right. What you're looking for.
So, and then there's relationship models that also change over time.
Right.
Because you could be with go ahead.
No, go. Say what you're saying.
No, I was going to say, because you could be with somebody initially, you guys started off as potentially, maybe like homie lover friend from college, but then one of you guys potentially starts to grow more into an entrepreneur realm, and the other kind of says, okay, well, I'll support you in that, and then that would probably transform more so into like
housewife.
The house, exactly. Right. You see what I'm saying? So it could also change over time too. But there's some people that are literally like, I do not want to be a housewife, and then you come around like, I do want to be a housewife, but then it's like, then y'all not going to be compatible.
Right? Or you?
That's even more. That's even more of a that would bring more of a kind of like an impact to say whether you would be with somebody or not.
Right.
More so than a love language.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, because what you're talking about is you're talking about future planning, right now.
Yeah.
And I think I always talk to folks about this. Like, if you don't see a future with the person, or you guys are going in completely two different directions, why are you trying to invest time into getting into a relationship? And I think that's where I really struggled in my past relationship is the future wasn't there. But because I didn't want to be alone, I always talk about this, because I didn't want to be alone, I just completely disregarded that.
Yeah.
You know, like, we could not future plan for anything, bro.
Right.
Anytime we started having conversations about the future, we get into an argument.
Yeah.
That's a red flag, bro.
Yeah.
Every single time y'all have conversations about the future, y'all are going in two different directions and there's no middle ground, and y'all are consistently arguing to the point where I didn't even want to bring up the conversation because I knew it would lead to an argument.
Yeah.
That's a red flag.
It's as simple as this. One of my pastors used to say it. He used to say, division just means two visions. DI, right, is just two. When you put DI in front of it, it's two. So division is just two. So when you did this, all I heard was all I saw was division.
Oh my God,
that's a two visions. It just means two visions.
Bro, that is I'm using that, bro. I'm using.
Yeah,
I'm like, y'all divided. That's division, bro. Y'all got two different visions, bro. My bro, why has he told me? Yeah, when y'all got division going on, y'all got two different visions. Nah, that's fire, bro.
Yeah, so,
that's fire.
I mean, that's sometimes that's really just what it is, you know.
Yeah, so. and that's what I'm trying to say. Like, some folks, going back to the relationship models, if you're in a relationship with someone that doesn't have the same vision of the model that you'd like to have for a relationship, either y'all have that conversation and come to terms with what this relationship actually is, or y'all work towards it, or y'all decide that it's not for you, right? Because
I think it's a conversation you could even have off rip, honestly.
No, absolutely. You don't have to have
you know
that
how
in a
people
relationship.
have conversations about love languages off rip.
Yeah, you could have that conversation.
All right, what's your
about
relationship model here? Yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
we're getting somewhere for sure.
What are you where do you see yourself?
Right.
With whatever this is about to potentially start happening.
Right. And then here's what I'll say. I'll put it into context for folks. From my relationship, right? So my relationship, I'm with my high school sweetheart.
Yeah.
So we have the homie lover friend.
Okay.
But we're not in that all the time. So I was gonna mention this to you too. I'm glad we got back to this. You can have two relationship models. Yes. It depends on.
You can have multiple ones. Yeah.
Right. So
one of them is in there though.
Right. Homie lover friend. We're in that when we're around each other for the most part. We're always like playing around, having fun, enjoying ourselves.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we also have a his and hers.
Okay.
Right. So we do a long distance. Okay. So I obviously have the podcast where I work, and there's a lot of different things that I'm doing. She works, so she has her own. Right. I have my own. Yeah. Right. So we do the his and hers as well, and we have the homie lover friend. So I think if you're able to identify, you get what I'm saying? If you're able to identify the different models that you would like or you have in your relationship, it can help you to kind of future plan and also figure things out in the relationship a little bit better.
Exactly.
I think there's more models too, but I like the four because I'm seeing stuff. I'm like,
I wanted to try to, because it's 5 love languages. So I was thinking there has to be a way that this can be simplified in this sense. Right. So I didn't want to try to. And honestly, every time I came up with another one, I would still find pieces of whatever that other relationship model is in those 4.
Right.
So that's kind of how the 4 came about. But listen, you have ample knowledge on relationships. You have endless people come up here and talk about, what they have going on. So, however you want to, take that info and run with it. We definitely have to create that book now. It's already documented at this point.
Absolutely.
We have cameras here.
No, absolutely. I would love to do that. I actually have to, there's a whole other thing. Maybe we could talk offline, because I know you said you have a children's book, right?
Yeah, I have a children's book.
I need to write. So I have a book called Hurting and Healing: A Black Man's Guide to Feeling. It's an ebook. It's 4 different chapters where we break down a variety of different things. And I basically structure the chapters in a way where the first part of the chapter is my individual experience with the chapter subject. Yeah. Like anxiety, me talking about dealing with anxiety. Attachment styles, me talking about dealing with attachment styles. Depression, suicide ideations. Talking about those different things, breakups, talking about that, right? Yeah. My experience with it. And then the second part of the chapter is resources and then like actual like solutions, because everything that I do with the platform is always solution oriented. I never want to just like, I enjoy having conversations, but I enjoy driving people to solutions more, right? So we start with the awareness of it and experience and the vulnerability in the chapters, and then we end with the solutions and how you can actually drive impact and like change your situation if you're dealing with that thing. Fine. So I'm saying all that to say, I'm doing more speaking, right? So I'm doing more speaking engagements, doing more like workshops, keynotes, presentations at schools, organizations. And one of my mans was telling me, yo, if you're gonna do speaking, you gotta get your book written.
Yeah, you definitely,
because
for
a
sure,
school will pay you a speaking bag,
yes,
but then also buy your book from a separate line item.
Yes.
So I'm obviously you're probably experiencing.
Yes, bro. Let's run that play, bro.
I need to turn that book into a hardcover book and actually start selling it.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, it's crazy because I'm literally having those conversations now, building out the pipeline for like the sales pipeline for like the partnerships and how I want to do that. So it's just wild that you actually came here talking about making a book. We could talk about the relationship model book, but I definitely need the hurt and the healing got to become its own book for sure, bro. So I want to talk to you like offline. We'll talk about the business offline, but just want to put that up there on your radar so we can talk about that, bro.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Nah, this got to happen even more so too. Like just the idea of just like black men sitting down and talking about the different things they got going on.
Yeah.
So that we could also like align ourselves with each other and, you know, be what I call like destiny carriers where like, you know, you have an idea, I have a skill set and we come together and, you know, put and piece things together, you know?
Right.
So that's to me, like, that's the highest form of friendship to me, bro.
Nah,
when you make money with somebody, when you're breaking bread with somebody, that's the highest form of friendship to me. Like, and when I say that, it's because of what you're doing in the meantime. Because the whole idea is not necessarily just the idea of making money. It's more about making impact.
Right.
Because creating a book is going to change so many different lives.
And that's the thing. That's the thing. I'm glad you said that too. My thought process with everything that we do is always impact over profit.
Yeah.
So I never go into things with like, oh, I'm gonna make a bunch of money off of this.
Yeah.
Like if I really wanted to make a bunch of money, bro, we just run ads on the platform all day. We just have therapists that run ads through our platform. We would charge therapists so that they can go and join our directory. We would charge outlandish prices and then only sell it to businesses. And if that's really the model that I wanted to have, where I was just focused on profit, that's what we would do. But because I'm focused on impact, we do the podcast, we do the free content on social media, right? Like we're not just trying to look for profit in everything that we do. So I'm glad you mentioned that because it really is about impact. And that's why also when we talk about, when I talk about partnerships and like doing speaking, there's a variety of different ways that we can make money. But what I'm focused on right now is actually going and talking in person with folks. Like I want to have real conversations with folks, do workshops. I was just telling somebody the other day, like that's my bread and butter, bro. Like I can make a workshop where we could be sitting there for 5 hours and nobody will feel tired. Like we're gonna take our breaks, of course, but it's not gonna feel like a lecture. And I'm not just talking to folks that are actually comfortable with lectures. I'm talking about I could do that with kids. I could do that with teenagers.
Likewise,
I could do it.
Bro.
It don't matter, right?
Likewise,
that's where my passion lies. So for me, I'm always thinking about like how can I actually get in front of people and do stuff. Because impact is more important to me than profit. Like again, if I really wanted to make a bunch of profit, we would just pitch stuff to businesses all day and try to do like advertisements on the platform and just throw up branded reels and all that kind of stuff. We're gonna do our fair share of that for sure. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying here and saying we ain't gonna do that. We're gonna do our fair share of that, right? We gotta pay the bills. But at the same time, what's more important for me is actually getting in front of people and doing workshops, presentations, keynotes, that kind of thing, bro. Because like I said, that's really my bread and butter, bro. I can make that and then like really deliver that and people really find a lot of value and impact in that, bro.
Yeah, for sure, bro. I mean, things change for me because for the stock business that I have, we actually have people that come and do. So we actually host live trainings, right, in person.
Right. I seen that.
Where most people, you know, potentially, you know, would buy a course online and start learning and things like that. We do have an online course, right? But we actually teach people like live and in person, right? So we for the most part, it's in Charlotte, but then we also travel to Atlanta, to Texas, to New York, sometimes California, to actually deliver across the country to our students. You know what I'm saying? And we usually see like the best results from them sitting in front of us and actually learning. And then the feedback we usually get is always about how much like actually being there in person and learning in person impacted them for them to, you know, go back home and implement what they learned.
It's just it's a whole different ball game, bro. I'm telling you, bro, like seeing like, and that's why like, I like the social media stuff. Don't get me wrong. Social media is very important. We wouldn't be here without the social media. I'm not gonna sit here and make it seem like social media is not important. But again, bro, if anybody that knows me knows, I'm not. It's so crazy. I'm not a social media person, bro.
Yeah.
I'm really not.
I wouldn't even have thought that.
Honestly. No, I'm not. I promise you, bro.
I'm not either, honestly.
I'm not, bro. I do it because I'm good at it now. Yeah. And I also know it pays the bills.
It's necessary.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's necessary.
It's necessary, yeah.
But I'm not trying to be on social media all day. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to go. I want to, like, ideally, what I want my month to be like is like, okay, cool. I know each of these weekends, I got to hit a different school, and I got to do 2 schools on this weekend, or whatever the case may be. Like, that's what I want to be. That's how I want to structure things to be at. And I'm getting there. But I'm saying this because I think it's important. I know there's people that watch the podcast and like listen to it, and that's probably going to push us to whoever. Like, if there's any folks that like have organizations that's doing any type of thing, schools or whatever the case may be, please pull up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fill out the form.
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to be in schools, bro. Like, for real, bro. Yeah. And we're going to be pushing that heavy, like pushing more content with me doing workshops and that kind of stuff, because like I said, bro, it's about impacting people in person. That's where I find the most value, is impacting people in person. Yeah. What I also wanted to talk to you about, bro. What's up? You're Nigerian. I'm Ghanaian. Yes. We gotta have that conversation.
Yes. Let's talk.
Come on. We can't sit here. Can't sit here and have the roots and not talk about the roots.
For sure.
How was your upbringing, and how has that impacted? How do you feel like that's impacted you when it comes to entrepreneurship, life, family? Like, because I know Nigerian. There's like certain stigmas and like stereotypes about Nigerians. I don't know if there's anything that you feel like that is actually true, or like, I just want to know about your upbringing, how that's impacted you as a man to this point.
Yeah. So, man, being Nigerian it's been really an interesting roller coaster, honestly, especially being in America, an American Nigerian, at least an American born one. Because for most of us, we grew up being made fun of in grade school, right? Either for your name, or potentially, if some people had an accent potentially from home, getting made fun of, regarding that. But then life changed when you got to high school, college potentially, and now all of a sudden you're the cool guy because everybody wants to know your name because you're not really from America. You realize that, wait, I actually have, a country back home that I'm from, that I have like actual like roots, and I have, that have grounding, you know what I'm saying? So, it was definitely an interesting experience growing up. I think, for most of us, that grew up here as Africans, most of our culture came from our parents.
Right.
I'll tell you a funny story, man. For me, I'm not fluent in Yoruba, which is what I am.
Your language, right? Your own language.
I can understand Yoruba, but I don't speak it fluently, right? Now, I'm going to explain to you why. And I asked my mother one day, right? I was like, Mom, well, how come you never taught us how to speak Yoruba?
Are both your parents Nigerian?
They're both Nigerian.
Why?
I forgot to mention that.
Okay. No, it's all good. I just wanted to add that context, but go ahead. Yeah. Now I'm really intrigued. Like, why didn't they teach you?
Yeah, that's interesting, right? So both of my parents, they met here in the States. They met in Rhode Island.
Okay.
So anywho, so they and I'm the second born from my parents.
Okay.
Right. So then they, so I asked him, I was like, so why didn't you teach us Yoruba, right?
Right.
And my mom said, the advice we got was that if we taught you guys Yoruba and you guys were really going to be learning English in school, that you were going to get confused. That was advice they got, bro.
God, bro.
You see how powerful information is, bro?
Bro.
Because the wrong information is just gonna, you know what I'm saying?
It will derail you, bro.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, my
But like
God,
the right
bro.
information could take you really to the right places.
Yeah,
So
bro.
think about this. A mindset that somebody else had, they adopted and made it become true.
Right.
That then breeded, the idea that this wasn't supposed to happen, although most of the most intelligent people are bilingual.
Right.
Because they learned at an early age.
Right.
And you usually realize that it's easier to learn a language when you're much younger than when you're older.
It is.
You know what I'm saying?
And children pick that up because they have no framework
Yeah.
And that's the beautiful thing about it. They don't have a framework of what English is.
Exactly.
So they're just absorbing everything.
They're taking it in.
Children can learn, if you really wanted to, if you had 4 different languages in the household, they would learn all 4.
And you know what's so crazy? As they grow older, they're going to be able to kind of dice it up. Like, okay, when I heard German, this was German. This was French. This was, you know what I'm saying? And then for what it's worth, most of these languages have a lot of similarities. You have Italian and Spanish that have a lot of different similarities within it, right? So it's like, you know, that type of thing as well. But, you know, it was so much of my upbringing kind of came from the idea of just identity. Like, who am I? Like, my friends at school don't accept me because my name doesn't sound like theirs, right? And then, you know, at some point in time, I was going to Nigeria. Like, one of the first times I went to Nigeria, I was like 14.
Okay.
And out there, it's like they're visibly telling you, like, you're from America.
Right.
For one, you look different. You might, obviously, you know, you're talking differently, you know, your vernacular, stuff like that. So it's like, you're kind of in between
you have an identity crisis.
Yeah, essentially. Yep. And so, that was most of it, bro. You know, but, you know, I would say as of now, like, I can be prouder to be, you know, to be Nigerian. I think it has a lot. I think a lot of who I am, even as a business person, when I talk about my determination, diligence, consistency, a lot of that comes from, I think, the culture. For me specifically.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of that comes from the culture. Like Nigerians, I mean, Africans in general, I'm going to speak pertaining to Nigerians specifically,
go ahead.
Are very proud people. Like, we like to feel like we've accomplished things. We like to put goals in front of us. We like to, and that's why you talked about stigmas, doctors, lawyers, engineers, whatever the case is, right? That's usually the professions that, you know, our culture goes usually, you know, tries to get into, you know, and excel in. So.
Yeah. You know what I've heard about Nigerians?
What you hear, bro?
That y'all boastful.
Yeah, boastful, proud, boastful. I mean, it's kind of the same idea. Proud and boastful is kind of the same idea, right? Yeah, I mean...
Do you feel like that's true? I gotta ask you.
It's so funny because you're asking me and laughing at the same time, bro. It's just funny to me.
Do you feel like that's true?
Do I feel like that's true? No, it's not for everybody, bro.
Okay.
Here's one thing I love about African culture, though.
What's that?
Our pride comes from our fatherhood. I'm kind of going back I'm kind of going back.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of pride in being a father as an African man. I feel like we deem it to be like the highest
form of like accomplishment.
Yeah, in a sense, right? Or identity, really. You know, like being a father. Like, that's big. It's like a huge deal for us. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I think much of me wanting to be a great father is out of that identity. Right. Like, this is actually who I'm supposed to be. Right. You know what I'm saying? Based on, you know, it could be the idea of culture, also, you know, spirituality as well. You know, I'm a believer, so, you know, that kind of goes into it as well. So we're talking about, you know, I'm growing up, I'm watching my dad, like, I'm seeing how he's revered amongst his friends, his family. Yeah. Like, I'm seeing how he's moving, I'm seeing what he's doing. I'm watching him spray cologne. Yeah. Like, I'm watching him put his shoes on. You know what I'm saying? I'm watching how he speaks to people. It's like, wow, like, this is who I desire to be. And I feel like, you know, it just comes from just, you know, just being people that, I mean, you call it boastful, right? There's people that would call it, you know, some other things confident. Like, confidence. There's a lot of, like, Nigerians are very confident people. And for me, I would say my confidence stems from my identity and seeing how things have played out in my life to the point where I can stand on things. I can stand on, you know, I can stand on the idea that, you know, I've come to a point where I could wake up at a specific point in time and have consistency around my scheduling or my routine or whatever the case is, so that at that point in time, I could be confident wherever I show up. Right. Because you can't be confident at something you're
lacking.
you're or guessing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Or inconsistent in.
Right.
You can't be confident in something you're inconsistent in. You know what's so crazy? You watch basketball?
Yeah.
You've seen Steph Curry shoot a three.
Yeah.
Like when he shoots a three from crazy distances. But you notice when he shoots a three from his usual spots, there's a confidence that he has when he turns around. You know, when he turns around before the shot goes in, he'll shoot it and then he'll turn around. It's because it was what does he call it?
Muscle memory.
Muscle memory. Yeah. Thank you. It was actually about to come just now. Muscle memory. He's like, as long as I do what I have to do, the result takes care of itself. Right. So it's like if I change the input, that's how I change the output. Right. So
you know, this is page I follow. It's real interesting. I've been following so many different pages, but they reminded me of that for some reason. There's this page I follow. It's called Every Day It Gets Easier. And they're just posting this. They post this same clip from some cartoon. I don't even know the cartoon. They post the same clip every day.
Really?
They post the same clip every day. Every day they post the same clip.
Yeah.
Right? And in the clip, the cartoon character is saying, every day it gets easier, but you have to do it every day.
Yeah.
That's the hard part.
Right.
And it was just something about hearing that. I was like, damn, I could use hearing this every day.
Yeah.
And every day I hear it, it just reminds me, yo, bro, you know what? Even if it's hard right now, bro, just keep every day. Just stay consistent. Stay disciplined.
Yeah.
And that's and the muscle memory thing that you talked about reminded me of that, because I think a lot of times for folks, they struggle with the consistency aspect of it. So they never get to the point where they're actually able to enjoy the result.
Yes. Yes.
You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because you're not doing it consistently
you do it consistently enough.
Bro.
I think that's the plight of a man, is mastering muscle memory. Mastering muscle memory. And when I say muscle memory, obviously it's
discipline,
an analogy of being able to, because I mean, it's really the idea of stacking the odds in your favor, right? Because okay, so I have this, I have one of my friends, right? He's one of my business partners. He works for this company called Stripe. I don't know if you've heard of Stripe before. Yeah. Right. He's one of the top executives there, right? Okay.
Gotta talk to him. Gotta get my membership stuff right. No, I'm joking. Go ahead.
He's a cool guy. Yeah. He's from Lynchburg, Virginia. So we're on the plane. We're on the way back. We're on the way back home. And so we're talking, and then he's like, "Man, I got to show you something." And I'm like, "What's that?" Because we're exchanging just information on just how we've been able to achieve levels of success, right? And so I'm talking to him, and he's like, "Let me show you something real quick." He said he read this book, and I can't remember the book, but he ended up sending me the book after the fact, right? But he was like, check this out. And so he picked up his phone, and then he said there was a workout that he did from the book that he read. He said, "This is how many times I've done that workout after I read that book." And then I looked at the number, 1,500 straight days.
1,500 days?
1,500 straight days that this man was doing a specific workout for 30 minutes a day.
Jesus.
1,500 days. I looked at myself and I said, with the idea of stacking the odds in your favor, right? Are you going to achieve great levels of success as a man if you do something for 1,500 days straight, or if you don't? Which one would allow you to stack the odds in your favor? Right? Because even if, let's say you're still trying to figure out life, like you're still trying to figure out what to do about, if you could just pick one thing you're good at and just do it every single day. For one, if you get it documented, people are going to recognize you for it. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I wanted you to finish, but I was going to say also with a plan.
Right.
Because I don't want people to think, oh, I'm good at music. Because that's the first place my mind went. There's people that's been doing music probably 1,500 days straight. They have no plan.
Right.
You're just doing music. No, we're not talking about that, bro. You have to have a plan behind this, bro. Don't take this clip and then show it to your mom and be like, this music is going to get me there, because these guys said, no, bro. You got to have a plan too, but go ahead.
It's so necessary. That was just so astonishing to me, because I was like, no wonder you're a top level. Like if I'm thinking about the DNA of a top level executive at a top company of the world, right? Would they have done something for 1,500 straight days, or would they have not?
Right.
Like
what's more likely?
What's more likely?
Right. The 1,500 doing it 1,500 days.
Exactly. Right. So it's almost to say like, if you were to assume a new identity about yourself, especially as a man, having a plan, but then applying consistency to it, you're literally not going to fail.
Right.
Because here's what you end up learning even through the process. When you have a level of consistency and you're creating diligence around it, you start to actually explore more about potentially other things you might want to do that could maybe, or just ways to refine whatever it is you're actually already doing.
Right.
Just through the idea of consistency. Like, so for you, right? You've been consistent in having this podcast.
Right.
There's ways in which you've improved the podcast, but that only happened as a result of consistency.
Oh man, you about to have me get my bag right now, bro.
You see what I'm saying?
I'm gonna bring this home for everybody,
so,
bro.
Yeah, go ahead.
For the folks that watch the podcast, they probably heard me talk about this story. For the folks that probably this their first episode, welcome. I'll tell you the story of how we even got to this point, bro.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. First of all, your point about consistency is so important. I started mental health advocacy in 2017. 2017 up until 2020, we never made a dime. Wow. We actually lost money because I would make money off of merch and then I would donate it. Like I told you, impact over profit. Yeah. I didn't really have a business model. I just knew I wanted to go out and help folks. Yeah. So at that time, we were doing talks at schools, we were doing workshops, those kind of things, and I never got paid. Yeah. I would just go, I would just be happy just to go into a school and see that there were kids lined up to learn. Yeah. So I would go out and do things, and I learned all these different things. I learned website design, I learned graphic design around that time, I learned a little bit about cameras, I learned merch design, all these things. I applied it into that first business called a Kizzle brand. Yeah. Never went anywhere. Wow. Folks can go on Instagram right now today. The Kizzle brand Instagram is up. You can go and look and see that I'm literally, the stuff that I'm talking about is documented.
That's crazy.
I have it up. Yeah. 2017 to 2020, we never make a dime. We don't make no traction. I'm not as consistent on social media because I don't have nothing to post. I'm not doing anything, right? I get into therapy. I started learning about myself. I also get a new job. I start making more money. I have more capital that I can invest into stuff. So I invest into myself, right? I still continue the mental health advocacy because my friend is telling me like, yo, bro, you should start a podcast. Yeah. I don't know nothing about podcasting. Yeah. We started the podcast with just audio. Yeah. Audio only. And I had basically a school mic. Yeah. It was not a good mic, bro. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. Audio only, a school mic, Audacity upstairs in this same house, editing clips afterwards, and then trying to put it up. That's all crazy. We started with. Then we started doing Zoom. Zoom conversations with folks. And obviously the quality here is not great. Yeah. Right. Meanwhile, we have the Instagram that we're also posting on. So I'm posting affirmations every day because I'm telling myself, yo, I need to see this. Yeah. I need to see. I don't care if nobody else sees
just
it.
For me.
This is for me. Yeah. This is so that I have something every day I can say, yo, I saw something positive spoken to me as a black man. Yeah. And I don't want to go on some other platform to see it. I want it to be on my own platform. I used our Instagram as basically a digital journal, and I still use it like crazy, that. Bro. I still use it like that to this day, bro. Yeah. So we doing that. We're posting every single day on Instagram. Mind you, I had no experience. So I don't want nobody to think you have to have experience. I had no experience. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just on Canva making designs. Posting every single day on Instagram. Now we're also doing the podcast. We go from school mic to Zoom conversations to realizing the Zoom conversations are good. They're good conversations, but they would be better if we figured out how to do it in person. Right? So one day we go to Atlanta, we having a conversation with some folks that we're trying to do business with. We have some cameras, we set up, we actually record an episode. We decide, we're going to push it out. We're going to see how it does. Yeah. We're not worried about quality and how good it looks. And we just going to put it out.
We're just trying to see what's up. Yeah.
Right. And I'm saying that because it's important for folks to know it's not about having it perfect. Yeah. None of this is perfect.
It's about getting started.
It's about getting started and taking action, bro. Right. So we took that first episode, we throw it up, we see, they going crazy off this. All right, cool. Let's figure out how we can actually start recording this often. Yeah. Now we switch to podcast. Instead of us doing it weekly, we're going to do it bi-weekly, because if we're going to record in-person episodes, that takes much more work than me just sitting upstairs on Zoom. Yeah. Right? So now we're doing it bi-weekly. We're going to a studio that's like an hour and a half away outside of here. Yeah. I do the studio sessions. I did maybe 10 to 15 studio interviews. Yeah. Right, for last year, where all the interviews are on, where we're doing in person in the studio. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, yo, nah, I don't want to drive to the studio an hour every time I got to record a podcast episode. And I'm paying for that. bro, I'm paying bread.
Yeah.
We can't do that.
Yeah.
We can't be, that's a lot of money I could be invested in other places, bro. Hell no. On top of that, you got engineers that's showing up late sometimes. You got guests that show up late sometimes. So now the episode is shorter, or you got to cut it down because you don't have control over your environment. You messing your business up because you don't have control over your environment, right? So now I'm like, okay, I'm gonna buy my own equipment. I don't know nothing about cameras, bro. We shot a bunch of episodes in Atlanta, bro. Low light episodes. The episodes is not the right. They don't got the right light quality. Like the light is not where it's supposed to be at. Guess what? The episode still went out, bro. We got
and it still has to.
And and this is what I'm trying. I'm saying all this because at every step of the process, bro, there's been things I've had to learn. There's been things that haven't been right. There's been things that I could have easily said, yo, we ain't gonna put this up because it ain't good enough. Bro, I didn't allow that to stop me.
You never know what's gonna pop.
And exactly. And then the way I want to round this all out for folks is 2017 and 2020, we didn't make a dime, bro. I had a decision to make. I had a job in 2020 that I was like, yo, this is good. I'm good. You know what I'm saying now? The money coming in. I'm good now. I don't have to invest into a podcast. When my man's is telling me, yo, go do the podcast. I already had all of the evidence to show that I don't know how to build a business properly. From 2017 to 2020, I didn't make no money. I'm now finally in my 9-to-5 that I really wanted. I'm now getting to a point where I'm comfortable living off the money I'm building from my 9-to-5. I don't need to put it into this. But the reason why I continued is because I knew first of all, it's about purpose. For me, right? I knew that God was telling me, yo, bro, you gotta do this. This is not about making money. This is something you need to do.
Absolutely.
This is purpose work. So for me, I'm like, okay, cool. I'm gonna take the capital from this and put it into the business and keep going. But we never get to this point. If I don't start in 2017, go into 2020, and if I decide in 2020 when I'm at that crossroads that I'm good, I'm gonna just live off the 9-to-5. We straight. We never get to this point, and so that's why
it's crazy.
When I follow that page and they say it gets easier every day. But the hard part is you got to do it every day. The consistency, bro. You have to do it. You have to invest in it, bro. We literally to this day, like. Bro, on the back end, like on Wednesdays in the morning, I'm going in, I'm scheduling content for the next week, bro. We post 3 times a day.
That's crazy.
We post
Y'all have so much content, bro.
Bro, we have so
much content.
We can make anything, bro. And that's the thing that I tell people too. Everything is content.
Everything is content.
Everything is content. You're just not looking at it the right way because you haven't framed yourself to understand what content is because you're not consistent enough.
Exactly.
And that's the problem. Folks, bro, man.
That's a fact,
bro. Because people aren't consistent enough, they don't know what their audience is looking for. I can tell you down to a T. All of the different things that we discussed today, like which certain like what clips that we can grab, how we can word it. I know because I'm consistent.
And it's a system now.
It's a system. I can teach. I'm literally teaching my VA right now how to schedule content. We have meetings on Fridays where I'm like, yo, bro, you put this title, I changed the title to this because this is what the title should look like. This is what this is what black men are looking for. Because I know, not because I'm a black man, but because consistency. You get what I'm saying?
It allows you to know who your audience is.
Exactly. And if you don't start, you're never gonna get to that point. So you have to you have to put that consistency in. And a lot of that to get back to what we were talking about comes from my upbringing, bro.
Yeah, for sure.
Watching my dad, bro. When I was younger, I used to see my dad, like, he had a business where he was selling African carvings. So if you see in here, there's a lot of African artwork, everything. He literally imported that from Ghana. These are the remnants of the stuff that he was supposed to sell.
I've been looking at this thing right here.
We got an elephant here.
We
got elephant right here. We got this piece of artwork right here. I ain't gonna bring it in the camera. They don't need to see it. Right, there's a lamp right here. There's a lamp right here. All of this is African artwork that my dad has had imported literally from Ghana that he used to sell, right?
I definitely don't feel like where I'm at right now. I feel like I'm in Africa right now.
No, absolutely, right?
I feel like I'm in there.
Absolutely. And the thing is, bro, with that business, I was a teenager. I was like pre-teens, teenager. He used to come up to my room. Kofi, we gotta go to the flea market. Literally 5 a.m. I'm waking up as a kid, bro. When I'm supposed to be watching television and Saturday morning, a cartoon. 5 a.m. we going to the flea market to set up tables and sell African carvings and movies.
That's a whole nother conversation.
You get what I'm saying?
That's a whole nother conversation.
We gotta have that conversation. But what I'm trying to tell you is like that experience in itself, I used to hate that, bro. Yeah. Like, bro, what?
You hated it when you were younger, but when you grew up,
bro,
oh my gosh,
bro. I promise you, Wasi, bro.
That's like one of the main things you remember. Bro. You know how many times we've been at recess? You know how many times we shot a jumper at recess? Mm-hmm. But all we remember is when our dad took us and did one thing or another.
Bro, that's what I'm telling you, bro.
It's crazy, bro.
I'm telling you. And I've told my dad this before. Every time I think about it, I'm like, yo, I gotta thank him. He doesn't understand what that did for me at that age. It taught me about discipline and work ethic. Early, bro. Early. It was like, yo, bro, if you wanna be successful, you're gonna have to put some hours in, bro. And I'm not saying burn yourself out. But it's just, this is what it requires. You gotta put the work in. Yeah. And so me learning that at an early age set me apart. Yeah. When people was like, "Oh, you're not enjoying college," I have friends that was like, "You're gonna regret not going out as much in college and all this." I'm like, all right, I'm still waiting on regretting it, bro. I'm still waiting on regretting it. You get what I'm saying, bro? I'm literally still waiting to regret not going out in college because I set myself up in college to learn, like, yo, bro, it don't matter. Yeah. If you're learning this complex thing, because I went to school for computer science, it doesn't matter how complex that thing is. Okay, so you understand, right? It doesn't matter how complex that thing is. You can learn whatever. Yeah, just put your mind to it. And that taught me, yo, I can learn anything. So I can learn videography. I can learn photography if I wanted to. I can learn setting up a podcast. I can learn how to create a podcast. I can learn social media content. I can learn business. And all of that really started from that work ethic that was instilled in me from my pops, waking me up and forcing me to do that.
You want to know what I call that? Me and my brother call that?
What is it?
We call that, you know how they have white privilege? Mm-hmm. Father privilege.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Father privilege. Mm-hmm. Father privilege, you don't see it, bro. You don't see it, but you have it. You know what I'm saying? Father privilege from the standpoint of like, there are people that wouldn't even be able to resonate with that story because they didn't have a specific role model in their life. Even if not a biological father, they didn't have that type of individual that they can now glean from and say, I remember when he did this at this time. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because think about it, you're grabbing from a memory from when you were 5 years old. Yeah. 5 years old. That's over 20 years ago. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that whatever you learned, that lesson is still being applied today, 20 years later. Today. Yeah. There are so many men out there that don't have that. Yeah. That's why, and that's to me why it's so important. You know, the just the idea of being a father is because you don't want to like allow that problem to keep occurring. Right. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You obviously having father privilege, you want to pass it down. Right. Why not? Right. It's a nice privilege to have, right? Yeah. Because for one, you're seeing consistency early on, you're seeing determination early on. Mm-hmm. You have these understandings and someone that loves you that can walk you through that process of saying this is what that looks like. Yeah. So now when you don't see certain things happen as a result of what you've learned from your father, then you're now starting to question like, wait, what's going on? Like, you know, but if you don't have that foundation or that, even just that fundamental understanding early on, like you kind of have to just figure it out as you go through life. Yeah, you know bro. Oh my gosh, man. Yeah. Father privilege is real, bro. Father privilege is real. And it's a good privilege. Yeah. You know, it's a good privilege. Everybody should have the father privilege. Yeah, and that's essentially what you're talking about is having a present father. Having a present father, and we're not talking, because people talk about it all the time. We're not talking about just a biological father. Right. We're talking about an uncle, a grandfather. You know, a college coach, whatever. You know, high school coach. Just a male presence. That male authority presence. In your life. Is very important. That could, you know, kind of guide you and lead you through. And this is through all phases of life. Yeah. Some of the most important people in this world have fatherly figures who are much older than that are still guiding them to this day. Bro. Yeah. You got me thinking about some things, bro, in my family, bro. I feel like there's not enough strong male leadership in my family. Yeah. Like aside from my pops, there's really no other male in my family that I look at that I'm like, okay, yeah, I can draw from you. And I think that's also important too, bro. Because the problem with that is
now there are other parts of your family that's fractured. That's pulling from the only part of the family
from the source
that's healthy.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? So now it's like, okay, this part of the family is fractured, that part of the family is fractured, that part is fractured. So we're all gonna pull from the only part that has the source, whether it be we need guidance, whether it be we need money, which is what it is most of the times. And then there's always just a bunch of just confusion because you don't have anybody that's an authoritative figure that's driving decisions and pushing things in the direction that they should go as a family. So that's what I've seen in my family is like, yo, when there's a lack of male presence strong male presence across
the board.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It becomes a problem because there's no real authority. Everything gets questioned. There's always a bunch of just disagreements and arguments.
Yeah.
There's no structure. There's no solutions. There's just a bunch of conversations and nothing happens as a result of it, bro. I've seen that, like, where there's like disagreements because of something that happened. There's a real problem. Somebody will address the problem. It'll lead to disagreements because of how it was addressed. And then now the problem is not even, there's no solution. The problem is still there. Everybody's upset. There's no solution to the problem. Everybody's just talking about their feelings.
Right.
And I get it because we talk about feelings here all the time. Feelings are important.
Yeah,
but when
we got to be solution oriented.
When there's problems, we got to get to the solution. And oftentimes, the male in the family is the one that drives the problem to the solution. So when you don't have that male figure on both sides, it becomes an issue because,
especially in the African household.
Oh, bro.
I think that's probably what the paradigm we're talking about, though, as far as being solution oriented.
Yeah, and that's the thing, bro. Like, so my pops is African, my mom is Trinidadian.
Okay.
Bro, I'm telling you, son, sometimes it's like, what I've realized too is that in a relationship, my pops can't tell my mom's family what to do. Just similar to how my mom can't tell my pop's family what to do. So he's limited in what he can say and how he can operate. So if on my mom's side, there's no male figure that's like actually driving the vision, now we have chaos.
But wait,
you get what I'm saying?
So how does that work though then? Like who's saying that your dad can't say anything though?
No, but here's the thing though, right?
Is it just like a respect thing for the
it has to be though.
Okay.
It has to. Do you feel like that's not? Do you feel like that's not?
No, because I guess what I'm thinking more so is, okay, if there isn't leadership on the other end,
then you have to assume that role.
Inherited, but more so from the standpoint of them also accepting it.
Yeah,
but
and that's the problem.
Yeah, that's probably what
it has to be accepted on the other end. And I don't think that, I don't know.
Yeah.
We haven't had those conversations, so I don't know, but I don't think that would be, I just don't think, I don't really think it will go down like that, bro.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, there are males on that side, but they're just not in a position where they're actually ready to like actively like lead and be an authoritative figure. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
I feel what you're saying.
So that's the problem, bro. But I've seen that like in most, not even just my family, just multiple families, bro. It's like if you don't have like across the board like male leadership and like continuous conversations and unity around what the vision and goal should be for as a family, there's just a lot of chaos, bro.
Yeah.
There's a lot of chaos, bro.
Yeah. I think the role of his father is usually to provide stability too. I think for the most part, there's instances where you could kind of, I don't know, because this is one thing, and I think this kind of goes back to the story about, essentially how the podcast came together, right? There's a lot of people that would just decide to just quit, right? Just when life gets difficult.
Yep.
That's while being a parent or being an entrepreneur, or even just, just kind of like living day to day. Like people just kind of quit on themselves all the time, right? But when you decide to be consistent in what you got going on, that's what immediately starts to separate you from
other folks,
other people. You know what I'm saying? But usually, like I said before, the difficulty, there's so much beauty in what you can find in the difficulty though, to whereas if you look at a difficulty and you decide that's what you decide that difficulty is what allows you to, or that challenge allows you to kind of back away and quit at whatever you're doing, you're not going to be able to be successful, right? there's a verse in the Bible. It's Romans 28 verse 8.
Mm-hmm.
All things work together for those who love God and are called according to His purpose.
Mm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So where it says all things work together, when I read that, it's gonna work, right? But it has to work together, and that together element would potentially be that difficulty. Within potentially also some wins as well. Right. So if it's gonna work, it has to work together. So when you do have the difficulty, knowing that it's gonna work, you have to have an understanding of when there's a difficulty within that difficulty, there's something that you can find. That can be a positive. That when you put it together, then everything works. You see what I'm saying? So the difficulty of, and here's the evidence of that, the difficulty of saying this studio space that I'm trying to rent out all the time, there's so many different variables that I have to manage. And because I have to rent out this space, I'm not able to have control over that. That's the difficulty. The beauty of of that difficulty is finding the solution of actually having your own space. Because now, even if you were to decide to do something like rent out the space, right? Let's say if you were to have an engineer here where, you know, you're manning the space and have other people come in and rent out the space, then that's even more of an impact play for, you know, other people to, you know, because there are other people that have that same problem. I had that problem. I created my own studio space at my house.
Exactly. I feel like that's where everybody...
I had that same problem being someone that has a podcast. I had the same exact problem. I'm trying to create content, and for one, I mean, you're in New York. That's different. I'm in North Carolina.
So it's a whole different.
That's a whole different market. Right. You have endless creatives here, so everybody potentially has a studio space. In Charlotte, there wasn't really that. You know what I'm saying? So I had to create that on my own. But the beauty in that is now I can wake up at 3 a.m.
and record.
Turn the recording on, and it's done.
It's crisp.
Everything good. I got my own lights. I'm taking my own lights. I'm not paying overtime. Because of somebody else being late. There's so many differences. So that's literally what there's positive things within that difficulty. If you focus, it's really your focus. You know what I'm saying? So.
Nah, and the thing about that too that I want to bring back to like my initial experience, all of the things that happened while I failed at my first business, like all of the things that I learned, I use to today, literally in my business. So web design, I built our website. You get what I'm saying? I built our website in Webflow. So web design,
I use Webflow too.
Webflow is lit, right? Webflow is lit. Web design, I built our business in Webflow. Graphic design, right? I learned Photoshop on my own. Then if you know,
are you behind the graphics on for
the most part, I don't do them myself, but I tell the team
or the illustration, like we
have an illustrator. No, I don't do those. I don't do. Hell no.
I was just wondering.
We have an illustrator. Literally, my VA found an illustrator. That's one of her friends. And like she did something first for us, and I was like, "Oh, that's fire! You locked in now." I was like, "Oh shit, I got some work for you."
I love meeting talented people, man. I love watching people be masters at their craft.
She's amazing, bro. So to get back to my point, what I was saying is like, so graphic design, Photoshop if you know Photoshop, learning Canva is easy. Canva is like. It's like Canva's, basic. You get what I'm saying? So all
Canva's
those things,
like the entrepreneur's best friend. Honestly.
Absolutely, bro. So all of those things that I learned, bro, I applied it to my business now, and that helped my business to take off. So if I didn't learn those things, if I decided to just stop, we would never get to this point. You get what I'm saying? We would never get to this point, bro.
That's a fact.
Man, I want to round it out. I want to round out the conversation with fatherhood. There's some folks that are watching right now that are probably soon to be dads right now. What advice would you give someone that's like a soon to be dad?
A soon to be dad.
To help him navigate that experience.
So it's going to be a pretty interesting transformation. You're going to transform your priorities, right? Being a new dad, your priorities shift. Like, you go from only thinking of yourself to thinking of your children first, right? You know, another thing to think about is obviously childcare. You know, how are you gonna if you're whether you're in whether you're a single dad or you have a partner,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna want to have as much rest as you potentially can have,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we're talking about potentially, looking to see if there can be help even overnight sometimes,
Right.
Weekends, just to get away and like re-energize, because your energy is going to be the most important thing that you're going to want to conserve,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that you can, like I said, be yourself, be your best self, around your young baby and your family. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But also knowing that, for the most part, everything has purpose now. Like every single movement has a purpose.
Yo,
Like
that's so.
every single decision has a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
You're also thinking about consequences. Every single situation has some sort of outcome that you're going to want to make sure you're stacking your odds in your favor, because there's someone else looking, to make sure that you do the right things. So yeah, those are some of the main things I would say.
Yeah, that is so interesting that you use the word purpose.
Yeah.
I was just talking to my friends. We just did our 100th episode. That's why you see the balloons up still.
Okay.
We did our 100th episode. And both of my friends are like, two of my friends are having like either just had a baby, about to have a baby.
Yeah. That's a huge thing, by the way. 100 episodes.
Yeah,
Congrats,
and we speak to consistency,
Congrats,
bro.
yeah. I was gonna say, bro,
yeah.
how many people have started and stopped the podcast?
You get what I'm saying?
I'm gonna let you.
No, go ahead. No, say what you're saying.
Because I was gonna say, like, bro,
mm-hmm.
I was doing some research because I do podcasting too. I was doing some research, like the most successful podcasts are just podcasts that never stop.
Yeah.
After I read the research, like once you get past a specific threshold of videos of episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything kind of just
it rounds out.
Yeah, it rounds out from there, because you get rid of all the imposters.
Yeah,
imposters aren't going to make 100 episodes.
No,
you see what I'm saying?
No, and that's what I told the team too. I'm gonna get back to my point, but this is what I told the team. I said we have our weekly meetings on Wednesdays. I told them, I said, out of all of our accomplishments, this is the one that means the most to me.
Yes.
That's why I went and got balloons. I didn't get balloons for 100K followers. Yeah. I ain't gonna get balloons for 200K. I probably won't get balloons for 1 million.
It's the work.
100 episodes.
It's the work.
That speaks to, bro.
It's the work.
You know what it takes to get to 100? Oh
it's
my
the work.
God. People don't understand, bro.
It's the work. No, they don't understand.
They really don't understand.
They don't understand.
They really don't understand, bro.
Because you got to think about it. How many people do we encounter every day that have done something that they can say they've done something outside of maybe their daily hygiene? 100 times.
Yeah. 100 times, bro.
100 times.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's crazy, bro. It's crazy. So out of all
that's huge, bro.
Yeah, I appreciate that, for real. Out of all the accomplishments, bro, that's the one that means the most to me. But I was saying, get back to the purpose point, right?
Yeah.
It's so interesting you use the word purpose, because I had two of my friends here, and one is about to have a baby, the other one just had a baby, and I was talking to them. I was like about fatherhood. Yeah. And one of the words he used too was purpose. He said, I have a new sense of purpose now.
Yeah.
And you said the same thing. Everything has a purpose now.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking to myself, do you feel like fatherhood gets you to a point where you really start to understand, like you feel like that's your purpose now in life? Like it really gets you to a point where you're like, you have a whole new sense of purpose?
My second born, they handed me the papers. I'm looking at him. He just came a couple hours ago. I'm writing his name down. I write his first name. I get to his last name. I'm like, this is my last name. He didn't even get to choose what I'm doing right now.
Right.
Sit with that for just a quick second. Sit with that for just a quick second. They handed me papers, and what I'm using my hands to do is shaping a whole human being's entire destiny.
Right.
Think about how powerful that is.
Crazy, bro.
Number one, he has no idea what's happening right now.
Right.
He has no idea what even his own name is at that point in time. How do you think that's going to change somebody? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That of course changes you.
Yeah.
Of course you now live with purpose. What? You just gave somebody your name. You just gave somebody a name that they didn't even ask for. You know what I'm saying? Their name, that's their identity. That's everything.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that it's what's happening in the process, right? We're talking about also dads that do, would cut an umbilical cord. Like, we're talking about moments, like, of situations you can look back at and say, this changed me. Like, that really, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
The first time a father might hear their son call them dad. Right? Or the first time your son, you know, or daughter, you know, comes to you with their arms up high to carry them. That changes you, bro. That changes everything, you know? It's a responsibility I feel like is the highest honor as a man, honestly. And I think there's so much about the process of being a father that allows you to experience the best forms of life, just in general, you know?
Absolutely.
So,
man, I would end it there, but I just thought about a question. I want to ask you this question. It's completely left field. Not really that left field, but getting back to the dating.
Yeah.
If you were dating, I know you're not dating right now.
For sure.
What would you be looking for? Because I think here's the thing, right? Yeah. We always talk about single mothers and no single mother is not looked for because of all these different things and blah blah whatever the case may be. We never talk about the single dad's perspective on dating. If you were dating right now, what would you be looking for?
That's a great question. What would I be looking for? When you ask that question, do you mean more so like qualities of a person?
Qualities. Yeah.
Or like what type of person that person is?
Qualities, and then also, what do you feel like would lead to peace in your home? Because we talked about that as well. That's a great question, right? Yeah. Like qualities, and what do you feel like would lead to peace in your home? Okay. Or in your life?
Okay. So in my home, in my life, same idea, right? Yeah. I'll answer that one first. I think the key to it is ultimate authenticity, like how you talked about. I think two people being completely happy in their own right, right? We talked about the whole happy wife, happy life thing, right? Like being completely happy completely on your own, meaning like your independent happiness, right? Two people coming together and not necessarily in such a way where you're trying to like fix and force things to occur, but more so like I'm complete in my own happiness. There's nothing someone else can do that could like interfere with that flow of peace potentially, right? And the other person also living with that same frame of mind. Right. But one of the other things is programming. I tell people all the time, programming, right? For instance, you and I, we just met recently. Yeah. Right? If I ask you, does it feel like we just met? Nah. It probably doesn't, right? Why? No. Because of programming. Not because we really have known each other for years at a time, but what? We potentially listen to the same stuff. Yeah. We're reading the same information. I see. We're digesting the same things. Right. You understand what I'm saying? Right. Like
someone who's like-minded.
It's more than like-minded, bro. It's more than like-minded.
Okay. Explain why you say more than like-minded.
It's more than like-minded because think about it. If you're like-minded, you may have arrived there just because somebody told you to arrive there, not because you're actually programming your life to be of a like mind of somebody else. Does that make sense?
No, it's different. It's a difference.
There's a difference of saying I'm just like-minded because there's a myriad of ways how you could end up just having the same mind as somebody. Yeah. Think about it. Some people just aimlessly become who they are, not necessarily like diligently saying I want to be this person. Like think about it. You said you wanted to help people with mental health. You wanted to help Black men with mental health. On your shirt right now it says express yourself Black man. There's a Black man that traveled miles to come and talk to you.
Bro, you know what's so crazy,
Think about that.
Bro.
Think about that.
Oh my God, bro.
Think about that. Yeah. You had to first envision yourself to be that person. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And so that's usually what it takes to even, to get the situation started.
No, absolutely, bro. I cut you off because I was thinking about just like process. We'll talk about that later, bro. But go ahead. Say what the rest of the
So it's programming. It's programming. That's so sometimes you might not even need to spend too much time to like figure out what someone has going on. You might just sometimes you might just ask them or maybe even look through their followers on Instagram and just see what's programming them.
Do you do that?
I may or may not.
He said, "Yo."
On the real though, if I see the shade room, I'm not even. Yeah. If I see, nah, but on the real, no, but you gotta think about it, right?
Yeah.
It's programming.
No, true.
What are you? Because here's what I could trust. Your upbringing is a part of your programming, right? Your childhood is a part of your programming, right? Like what lessons were you learning as you were growing older? That's a part of your programming, right? But now, what's a part of your ongoing programming? Because you're not a child anymore,
right? So what are you doing
yourself now?
Yeah,
what you would be doing now potentially, you might still be feeding your inner child,
right?
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's just like, it just depends on, whatever is going on.
Yeah. So you feel like for you the two most important things are programming, and then what was the first one that you said?
And being completely yourself.
Okay.
Like authenticity.
Okay.
But
I like that.
I could go so much deeper into programming, but it's so important because that's how you end up finding people that are like-minded. I mean, more so like-minded, right? Because I just went over that. People that are
for you.
Yeah,
honestly.
people that are for you, like your tribe, essentially.
Right? No, honestly. That makes a lot of sense. That's the first time I've really heard of it like broken down like that. But no, that's fire.
Like you will only think about, like, because think about it. Like if somebody were to say happy wife, happy life, that triggers you in such a way where you say, I would never subscribe to that.
No, never. No.
But because I have that same understanding, now we've gone from here to here.
Yeah.
And then there's more about your programming that I would learn. So then we go from here to here. And then before you know it, that's how two people, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Like-minded may be, okay, you just know, you guys invest in certain things that are the same thought process.
Yeah.
But programming is more like, there's a bunch of different things, and then there's also action behind it.
Yes.
You get okay.
Intentionality.
Yes, that's the word I was looking for.
Okay.
Yeah.
Intentionality behind my programming.
Right.
Because a lot of people don't even know that society has programmed them.
Bro,
so that's a whole nother situation. Are you programming yourself? And if you are programming yourself, what does that program look like? Or are you just programmed by society?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
No, that's true. Like literally today, bro, I saw this post, which is it's ironic that I'm going to mention that this was from an Instagram post that made me do this. But I saw this Instagram post with somebody talking about how if you wake up and the first thing that you pick up is your phone, like you're setting yourself up to like now be seeking out dopamine throughout the rest of the day.
Correct.
Like I think there's a study on it basically.
It's like an appetite.
Yeah, basically like you're setting your appetite to now seek out more dopamine. Right. Dopamine hits through going through Instagram more.
Right.
So like today I decided, you know what, bro, I'm not going to keep on I'm not going to go through Instagram as soon as I get up. I'm not going, when I find myself just randomly scrolling, I'm just going to get out the app, and I'm going to be mindful about that, because how I set my phone up is like there's no apps on my home screen. There's no apps.
Yeah.
I literally don't have any apps, so I have to intentionally search for an app.
I do the same thing, bro.
It's crazy, bro. And
I do the same thing.
And even to this day, bro, I still find myself sometimes I just randomly, mindlessly just search for Instagram, and I'll open it up. And I told myself, bro, the whole point of you doing this through your phone is so that you don't do that. And now you're back doing that, right? So now I'm like, okay, cool. I'm gonna close out the app anytime that I'm on it. If I'm just randomly on it, if I see content and I'm just like, why am I even seeing this? I'm just getting out the app, bro. I'm not gonna keep spending my time.
It's kind of stepping in and being conscious about what you're doing. Exactly.
Yeah. So it's about setting that intentionality of not just randomly wasting my time in Instagram, so that I'm not just I can actually do other things, bro. Because I find myself on Instagram sometimes. I'm just on Instagram for like 10, 15 minutes. I'm supposed to be doing stuff. And even if I'm not supposed to be doing something that time, I'd rather spend that time with my thoughts than actually absorbing other people's thoughts. Other people's content, because when we talked about with programming, literally social media is programming you all the time. Exactly. And as much as I want to have control over my feed, there'll be stuff that will throw me for a loop.
Exactly.
Like car crash videos, bro.
Yeah.
There's so many car crash videos on social media, bro, and I find myself randomly just scrolling and then I see a car crash video. I'm like, well, what's happening here?
That's crazy.
And I'm like, why am I seeing this, bro? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, why is this in my suggested? Like a car crash video. Why do I need to see this, bro?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Man, it's wild, bro.
It's wild. It's just, the programming goes so deep, bro, because it's what you can trust. It's what you can trust, bro. You can trust, like for me, my alarm every morning is an affirmation video that I found on YouTube. So literally, instead of beep, 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 I have like, it's like an ascension of video. I mean, it's ascension of volume of someone talking, and it's like, it just starts saying like Bible verses, right? And then it starts talking about like, so this is what I'm waking up to. Think about that. This is what I'm waking up to. So the last thing I'm thinking about is my phone. I'm thinking about whatever I'm hearing right now. I'm hearing, you know, just different stuff, right? Just different ideas on who I am. Like, I think I even have like it's on shuffle. This is why I'm saying that. Okay. Because sometimes it'll come up on a sermon. Yeah. Right. So I start immediately, I wake up and somebody's talking about how much God loves me. You know what I'm saying? Like, that might be what I need to start my day with. Yeah. You know, more so than just like something clamoring my brain cells to to get up. Right. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's, again, we're talking about consistency and routine. Yeah. That alarm goes off every morning at 4 a.m. I wake up every morning at 4 a.m. Right. So for me, like, I have a couple hours in my morning where I decide these are the hours that I'm allocating to myself where there's no noise anywhere. So from 4 to 5:30, 6 o'clock is just grind time. Yeah. Peace of mind where I'm putting in work though. So like, I'm not mindlessly like putting things together. Like, this is a time where I can do my vision casting. I'm thinking about, you know, the different things I got going on for the week. What I need to think more about as far as whatever initiatives, projects I got going on. That's my time to do that. You know what I'm saying? And then I would go to the gym. You know what I'm saying? And then the consistency thing with the gym is, you know, for me, I had to find a different reason for being physically active. Okay. It wasn't enough just to say I wanted to lose weight. Okay. Right. So, because I had a period where I lost 40 pounds in 6 months.
You lost 40 pounds?
I went from 230 pounds to 190 in 6 months.
Damn.
Right.
Okay.
So
just off the gym, you ain't have
no. So I definitely changed my eating too.
Okay, I'm saying, I'm talking like you had Ozempic or something.
No. Hell no. Ozempic. You know what's so crazy? I had there was a functional medicine doctor that I was working with. Okay. In Beverly Hills. Okay. And I was because I would have to meet with her every couple of weeks. Okay. And one of the main things she told me, she was like, never have anybody stick a needle in your arm that doesn't have gloves on and that is not a medical doctor. Okay. And when she told me that, I just took her word for it. I was like, well, that means I would never be sticking my own self with the needle. You know what I'm saying? Granted, this is not to cast any judgment on anybody, but for me, I'm not, you know, in that type of lifestyle where I'm, you know, considering doing things like that. Okay. So for me, I'm going back. The journey I'm on right now, I'm going back to Adam. And when I say Adam, like
Adam Eve.
Yeah. So I'm going, because they never talked about Adam having back pain.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, all right, so if I'm trying to live right and eat healthy, I'm talking about, you know, eating more whole foods, you know, eating actual real food. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Something I do a lot. I actually eat raw ginger every day.
Really?
I eat raw ginger every single day.
You know, I'm part Trinidadian. We cook with a lot of ginger powder.
You cook with a lot of ginger, powder,
ginger powder, but we're not raw ginger.
Root and I eat it every single day. Now, for me, it aids with digestion. It aids a lot with anti-inflammation. So it helps a lot, even with like fighting off like diseases and stuff like that. So for me, I wake up every morning. I eat raw ginger every morning.
Really? I might have to try that. I ain't gonna lie,
every
bro.
single morning, bro.
But you peel it though, right?
I peel it. Yeah, I definitely peel it. I peel it. Okay. I make sure it's nice and I make sure it's organic too, by the way. It has to be organic. Okay. I peel it real nice. You know what I'm saying? Make sure it's nice and yellow and healthy. And the reason why I do that is because I realized I was changing the input in business and then I was seeing results in business. It's like, what if I do that for my personal life, for my physical health journey as well? Yeah. So I changed what I allowed inside my body, and I started seeing results outside my body. So eating raw ginger meant that there was a lot of appetite being curbed, and there was a lot of cravings also being expelled as well. So you're not talking about eating a whole bunch of sugar and doing things like that, right? And just also the idea of just mind over matter, like to eat raw ginger Like you have to put your mind to it, what you're doing.
for sure.
You're not just sucking on a lollipop. Like, like you really got to focus on what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? So it's a part of my daily routine, and it's helped me out tremendously. Honestly, it's gotten me to a much better place health wise. You know what I'm saying?
No,
and how I saw it was ginger is the best, like one of the best living, things that you can consume. And if it lasts so long, outside the body, what would it do inside the body?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the problem is most people are eating dead things and wondering why their body isn't performing optimally. Like if you're eating food that stays alive for a specific amount of time, right? If you're eating living food, then you too are going to live. They say you are what you eat, right? If you're not eating real things, if you're not eating living things, then that's what I was doing. I wasn't eating living things. And that's how I was ending up getting that result. So funny enough, to bring everything in full circle, like much of life has just been about learning one thing in this realm and applying it over here.
Yeah.
Fatherhood to business.
Right.
Business to physical health.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Even trading to physical health. Because with trading, there's a lot of consistency in that. Having to wake up every morning at a specific time to be able to get into the markets at a specific time, right?
Yeah.
So it's a lot of that too.
Yeah. Let me ask you this too. Are you vegan?
I'm not vegan though.
Okay, you're not vegan.
I'm not vegan.
So you eat meat?
I do eat meat.
Okay, cool.
I do eat meat. For me, it's just a conscious thing.
Okay.
Consciously now I know what I'm doing. So
right.
I'm going to decide to more than often eat the right things.
Okay.
And then,
do
otherwise.
You know what I like about what you just said too, bro? I just did a keynote at the Birmingham Black Male Summit. And what I did with that keynote was we talked about the 6 different aspects of holistic healing, right? Talking from spiritual, mental, emotional, social, financial, physical, right? The 6 different aspects of our holistic health.
Yeah.
What you talked about is how you looked at one of the aspects of your holistic health, which we could say basically is your financial aspect, and then you took what you were doing with your financial aspect of your holistic health and you invested that same thought process into your physical health.
Correct.
You get what I'm saying? And I think a lot of times for us as Black men, we get so caught up in making money. And I said this during the keynote. We get so caught up in making money that we just completely bypass everything else.
Yeah.
So that's where you'll see the entrepreneur that has all the money in the world, but he's 300 pounds.
Yeah, no.
And I'm like,
no.
I don't want to be a millionaire that bad.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
no.
I'm cool. You know what I'm saying?
No. Yeah.
Or you see the person that's like, he's so focused on making money. He has millions of dollars, but he has absolutely no social life. He has a family, but they don't see him. He doesn't talk to his family, doesn't take care of his kids. But he thinks that that's what it's supposed to be because we've been trained to believe that the only aspect of our holistic health that matters is our financial health. And if that will take care of everything else.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like, nah, bro. Like you have to intentionally, we talk about programming, you have to intentionally want to work on the other aspects of your holistic health. And if you don't, they will deteriorate. They will struggle. Yeah.
What's so funny is that, one of my mentors, he told me, and he makes millions of dollars a year. And he told me, he said, one thing that is most important to me, not now that he's in the position he's in, is like living long with it.
Bro.
And that hit me a different way. I was like, okay, you could have money, but what does it really mean if you don't live long with it, right?
Bro.
And then I was also thinking about the idea of like, for me personally, like I've experienced different levels of success. And, when I tell you the happiness that you get from mastering yourself, your body, is something that can't be explained because it's something that everybody deals with. Like, if I'm being honest, it's easier to make money than it is to change your physique, your physical, your physical appearance. It's way easier to make money than to change your physical appearance. And when I realized, I was like, if I could actually focus more on, you know, getting this area situated, that would allow me to then flourish in every other area. Because like you said, you know, only focusing on the financial aspect, your financial health, you know, it's not going to bode you too well, you know, as you continue to venture on in life. So
yeah, bro. And
you
I'm literally
on the other stuff.
Nah, you're absolutely right. I'm literally, bro. You're mentioning some stuff that was in the keynote, bro.
That's crazy.
And I'm literally going.
That's programming.
No, absolutely.
That's programming right there.
I'm literally going to the keynote to tie this whole thing together, bro. So give me 2 seconds just to find it, bro, because I have a presentation that we gave.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure.
Where'd you get the keynote at?
Birmingham Black Male Summit.
Okay.
Yeah. So I want to make sure I get the bar right because I don't want to mess my own bar up.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I was good. I was good. So literally what you talked about was your financial health. With the guy was talking about how he wants to make sure he lives long.
Yeah.
One of the things that I did when I was transitioning from financial health to talking about physical health was I always have segues and stuff so that people are not just feeling like you're just hopping from point to point.
Yeah.
So when I was transitioning from my financial health to talking about physical health, I said your financial health buys you comfort, but your physical health allows you to fully experience that comfort.
Yes.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because if you're not physically healthy, if you're 300 pounds and you really have health problems, because I know there's a whole community of folks, right? Like if you're 300 pounds and you have health problems, right? Then you're not, and you're a millionaire, you're not really going to be able to fully enjoy.
That's a custom seat on a private jet.
You get what I'm saying?
They still have to, you know.
Bro, you're not going to really be able to fully enjoy what you now have access to.
Right.
So you might as well not even have access to it.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So I think that's very important for us to understand. And this goes into all the different aspects of our health. It's not just the physical health. The physical health is just the easiest example to make. The mental health is the one that we oftentimes don't care about at all.
Yeah.
And then once we get to the point where we're millionaires or whatever the case may be, we have all the things that we always wanted.
Yeah.
We can't sustain it because mentally we're not in a place where we're able to take care of it.
Not at peace, yeah.
We're able to actually do what we need to do to make sure that it can be sustained.
Yeah.
So, man, bro, this has been a great conversation. I didn't think we were gonna talk this long, bro.
Yeah. How long?
It's been like 2 hours, bro.
It's been 2 hours.
It's been close to 2 hours.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's been close to 2 hours. Has it felt like it? Has it felt like it?
Doesn't. It actually really doesn't, bro.
Nah,
it probably feels like it's been probably about an hour or so.
Yeah, I love that, bro. It's literally been close to 2 hours, bro.
That's the programming, bro.
Nah, absolutely, bro.
That's the programming, bro.
Absolutely.
If anybody should leave this episode with anything, it's, you know, for one, we always as men, we always have to believe in ourselves. Like, believe in who you are. But that belief has to come from somewhere. For me, I believe that I'm a son of God. Right? So that's where I glean my identity from. And from that, you know, from my belief in myself and my belief in God, I believe that I can do anything.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And that sounds cliche, but I honestly believe, like, and that's not to say like I believe that God in the sky or that God the Father or whoever is all of who he is within me, but his spirit is.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
His spirit is. And I feel like if we believe that as men, we could accomplish anything, right? Absolutely. But I think it really first starts with our identities. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man, I had a lot of fun today, man.
Nah, I appreciate it, bro. Listen, man, I'm not gonna keep talking about the keynote, but you just mentioned some parts of the keynote. I'm keeping a stack with you, bro. Like,
nah, we probably gonna, you know, maybe grace some stages together or something.
Nah, I would love to, bro. And like even y'all live trains. I don't know if y'all do any stuff on mental health or whatever, bro. But if y'all had something in New York,
that would be a good thing to.
If y'all had something in New York and y'all were looking for somebody to come, I just talked about wanting to do in-person stuff, bro. We could do a workshop or something, bro.
We have a lot of students out there too, so we can definitely try to figure something out.
We could definitely figure something out.
That would be a different twist to it because it's necessary to, you know, to have
the mindset like bro, I always talk about huge, I love having conversations with folks that are doing work in like the financial health aspect of life because oftentimes what people don't realize is while we're trying to get to the bag, there's a lot of mindset barriers that folks have, bro. I'm sure you've seen it where you're talking to somebody, you're like, oh, you can make this trade and you'll be good. And like, nah, you're the only person that can make that type of trade. And
imagine that.
And they literally have a mindset that's like,
it's gonna block them forever.
Yeah, I can't do this because something's wrong with me. But even though I've seen you do it, there's something wrong, but I can't do it.
It's crazy.
You get what I'm saying? So that's a mindset thing. So when we talk about mentality, sometimes people need to see that and break out of that, bro. So man, this has been a fire episode.
Man. I'm coming back though, so we got more to talk about.
No, absolutely, bro. Absolutely. Can you, first of all, before we end, tell people how they can find you, how they can tap in, anything you got coming up?
For sure. So I'm on Instagram. I'm on TikTok as well. My Instagram is wasi.akin, so wasi.akin. So you can find me there. You'll see information on different stuff I got going on with, stock options trading as well. Teaching people in person as well as the children's book and things like that.
Okay.
All of that's on my profile. We're also on YouTube as well. So you'll see all that information on Instagram.
Okay. So, solid. And then do you have any like workshops or anything coming up? Like teachings?
So we have workshops monthly, actually.
Oh, you having monthly?
We have
Is it
monthly.
In person?
In person, monthly.
Really?
Yeah. So
I gotta hear that. How y'all do that? Because I know there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes of that.
For sure, bro. It really gets crazy.
Yeah.
So we hold those monthly. So
in North Carolina?
Well, depending on when people watch the video, it depends on the time of year. Usually in warmer climates, we're up north. We're out west or down south.
Let me actually, I'm gonna give you the exact. So that you know, so that you can actually plug it in properly. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna give you the date.
Cool.
Right now, so that you.
But it's typically, we usually run them typically the third weekend of the month. Yeah,
this is gonna be April. It's either gonna be the first week of April, or the second week at like April 15th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it'll probably be towards a little bit after April 15th.
Okay, that you had one. Okay, cool.
But typically the third
week is where y'all do them.
Yeah.
And then they get tapped in through your profile.
Yeah.
On Instagram.
Profile, yeah.
Oh, I see, man. I appreciate you,
Yes,
bro.
sir,
This has been a dope episode, bro. Thank you so much for pulling up, bro.
Yes, sir, man.
Oh, man. Good stuff.
Thank you so much for watching this episode. If you are planning an event or you are part of your organization's Black employee group and you are interested in having dope Black mental health professionals or myself come in and do a speaking engagement or a workshop or a keynote address or a panel, please click the link in our bio on Instagram or TikTok, scroll down and click book us for speaking and brand deals and fill out the form available on our website. Once you fill out the form, one of our team members will get back to you about how we can collaborate and create something dope for your organization. This is an unparalleled opportunity. We are currently the largest Black men's mental health platform, and we have a few slots available for our calendar year, and we would love to partner with you to create something dope for your organization if it makes sense for both parties, right? So go to the link in our bio, scroll down, click book us for speaking and brand deals, and fill out that form. If you're not on Instagram, the link should be linked in our description of this episode. And it is also on our website. If you go to expressyourselfblackman.com/speaking-brand-deals. That's expressyourselfblackman.com/speaking-brand-deals. If you are looking for a therapist, a Black therapist, and you've had a hard time finding one, you've jumped from therapist to therapist, or you just don't know how to find a therapist, we are teaching a free webinar. It's completely free, taking you from not knowing how to find a therapist, not knowing where to search for therapists, struggling with finding good therapists for you, not knowing what to look for in therapists, teaching you all of those different things, and also giving you the opportunity at the end of the webinar to be connected with one of our safe haven healers who are Black mental health professionals so that you do not have to go through the struggles of finding a Black therapist alone anymore, right? So if you're interested in that, you want to get connected with a Black mental health professional at the end of the webinar, or you just want to learn how to find a Black therapist by yourself, you can sign up for the free webinar. It's linked in our bio on Instagram and TikTok. You just click that free webinar link once you click the link in our bio and fill out the form. You can also find it on our website at expressyourselfblackman.com/links and fill out the form there for our next webinar session. If you're not interested in any of that, right, but you know someone that may be interested in it, all we ask is that you please share it
If you want some of the merch that we show on the platform all the time, that we're wearing on the platform all the time, you can shop it at shop.expressyourselfblackman.com. And once again, we just want to say thank you so much for watching this episode. Thank you so much for supporting us. Please, if you are on YouTube, leave a like, subscribe, comment. If you're listening to this on an audio platform, please leave a review. It helps us out greatly. Thank you so much for your support. We're wishing you nothing but the best and sending you and your family and your loved ones love and light. Peace.
Sometimes I know you feel like you ain't got nobody to speak to. A shoulder to lean on somebody you could preach to. No, you need to hear it, my brother, I love you. We got way too much to live for.